ATM.
Good morning. This is still Atlantic Television Network right here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. This is Atlantic Blowout. And Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network that features chit-chatting, features conversations on special interest topics, news, events, stories, through correspondence reports, expert opinions, stakeholders, analysis, always talking about stories making the rounds in Nigeria with the analysis of our guests. The first story we'll be looking at today is this one from Delta State, where it says herdsmen kill farmer and kidnap the wife. We've been hearing cases of herdsmen and farmers clashes, even though some people believe that these people are no longer herdsmen. They are just probably people who disguise as herdsmen to carry out these very sad acts or terrorist acts. Then we'll look at this story from the National Assembly, where it's talking about reps now. It says reps begins consideration of NDDC budget. You find out the amount and further details on that particular story. Let's look at food scarcity now. Southwest stakeholders have actually talked about some solutions that could help us with food scarcity in Nigeria. Some people have said that there's so many things happening in Nigeria that might not really affect everybody, but you see food scarcity, everybody must know that there's something like that's going on right now in Nigeria, whether you are up there or down there. Everybody is affected in one way or the other. But then farmers have come together, some stakeholders have come together to procure solution to that particular problem. Let's find out what their solution is and also find out later on if these suggestions by these stakeholders will be taken and carried out by the federal government or the people involved. We'll also take a look at this story talking about sexual harassment, where it states that commissioners are to address this particular menace, especially the one going on in tertiary institutions. We have this particular problem going on in tertiary institutions in our society at large. But then these commissioners of education now want to meet to talk about this particular problem. We've also heard in the news yesterday that we now have a mobile court for sexual abuse and sexual harassment. We'll find out more about that story and what our guests will have to say, especially knowing that we have a student who is going to be joining us today on the show. We'll find out from his own perspective what he thinks about this and how far this has gone and what can be done about it. All right, we'll also get to talk about the student loan, where it says that NANS give ultimatum to institutions to submit their data. So reports have it that some institutions have not submitted their data. And remember, the students cannot submit it directly. Now, they have to submit it through their institutions, who would then submit the data of the students. And then we also heard yesterday that some students are finding it difficult to register. We'll find out more about that also. And then on education, we have in the news that LASU students are protesting fees increment. This is not just happening in LASU. We have other places, other protests that have gone on in other institutions recently where they've talked about an increment in fees. All right, we'll introduce our guests and then delve straight into the stories after this break. I am Enidoye Jackson. Please stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, Through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask, oh?
Because this road where they see, so e no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey, light o usai, the infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, well everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No vex, now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
Their behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadeyi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we go block later. You remember that contract?
Who they all since? We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap him.
Beg, see, you know, say, I get annual. They say I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure?
Sure.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadeyi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
so much. It is our delight to know you're still here with us. We have with us in the studio as one of our guests, Stephen Okechukwu. He is a development strategist. He's also a communication strategist. He's also a farmer or an agricultural expert, like it like to be called. Good morning, Stephen. How are you doing?
Good morning, Annie. I'm fine, and I'm proud to be a farmer.
Yeah, you know, I told you I will introduce you that way the next time you come here.
Thank you.
And I had to keep to my words.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud to be a farmer.
All right, we don't have so many farmers now, but we also hear that that's where the next oil money is. Not the next, it's actually the new, like, that's where the new money is coming out from,
yes,
right?
it is.
So you're an odogu.
No, not yet.
Oh, now you're no longer saying yes. Okay. I don't know why people don't like to admit that they are odogus.
It's okay.
All right, let's look at the very first story now. Gunmen suspected to be headsmen on Monday night stormed the Okpe Abavo Ikar South local government area of the state, killing a 55-year-old farmer yesterday Friday, Jegbe Fume, and kidnapping his wife. It was learned that the gunmen are demanding the sum of 20 million naira ransom for the release of the wife of the deceased, Mrs. Antonia Jegbe Fume. Now, sources have said that the hoodlums, armed with AK-47 rifles, broke into the residence of this family at about 8 p.m. and shot the man dead. The village, which is a quarter of the Abavo clan, has been deserted with few elderly men and women still around, as terrified residents have fled to take refuge in neighboring communities. Speaking on the development, the chairman of Ope Abavo, Mr. Austin Nkemako, has said that some unknown persons invaded his home, shot him dead, injured his son, and kidnapped his wife. And up till now, they have not heard anything from his wife. But then the story earlier has told us that they are already demanding a particular amount for ransom for this particular woman that was, imagine the trauma of losing her husband, the trauma of knowing that her son is out there, and then the trauma of not knowing if she would ever come out. This is a very, very sad one. And this is the first story we're taking. But talking about farmers, we're like, okay, let's take it. Since it's around Delta State, let's get your thoughts on this one, Stephen.
All right, so I think this speaks more about kidnapping, about a little bit about terrorism, than even about the caption you have on the screen, herdsmen. Yeah. It tells you it speaks, you know, I find it hard to believe that herdsmen or herders would, you know, go this far. And now you're demanding a ransom of 20 million naira. You have a man's wife with you. All of the scenarios, you have AK-47 rifles with you. All of this just goes to show that even up until this very moment, our system is yet to critically engage every single individual that is responsible for the herders institution as it is. I do allow this to go. So what I would suggest is that the government needs to engage our herders. Thankfully, I think it's less than 48 hours since Mr. President is now seeking approval from the National Assembly for the establishment of the Ministry of Livestock. And we're praying that that would in a very good way curb, you know, news stories like this. I do hope that the ministry would, if actually there's a need for that, because we had actually prayed that the Ministry of Agriculture should have been all-encompassing to manage all of the crisis coming out either from cash crop farmers and herders. But situations like this, my summary is, this cannot be herders clash. This is an act of terrorism. It's kidnapping, and it has to be condemned. We're responsible. I think that it is the onus lies on Mietiala to come out and say, no, this is not what we do.
We know them and all of that.
The mere fact that they have with them AK-47 rifles just goes to show that our security management architecture is flawed on many levels. The NSA, the NIA, and I believe also the DSS. In this country of ours, we cannot tell how guns have become so proliferated, so much so that it's hard to tell who owns what, when, and how. So it is okay if you do find some educated elite having a registered weapon with him at home. But these are unregistered AK-47 rifles. How were they able to get into the country? How were they able to go through? And you have security architectures that should manage. So we're only being careful as to not point fingers. But in a country where you had the DSS, the NSA, the NIA, what have we been doing with our intelligence gathering system? I did, earlier on did mention Mietiala, but at some point we need to ask ourselves, the systems we set up, we put in place to look at our security, the protection of lives and property, how functional, how effective are they?
Since you have mentioned all of these agencies now and I'd like to ask my guests this question, especially when we talk about insecurity in Nigeria, because I know they think it is high time we looked outside. Do you feel like the people that we have, the agencies that we have on ground are not probably, is it even a problem of us not having enough manpower? Because we have heard that we don't have enough police to citizen ratio.
Yeah.
We've heard that our men are not enough. We've heard that so many of them are being taken to, advance. Is it a problem of the political will, not the ability?
It has always been political will. It has always been the political will. First off, the appointees, or rather the brains behind the management architecture behind what you call the institutions that we do have, from the director of the DSS, the director of the NIA, the leaders of the NSC. These are very intelligible Nigerians. These people understand what it means to protect lives and property. So when you find people not, and sadly too, there's, this could just tell you the demoralizing effect it has on, I believe, on some of the personnel of some of these agencies. Because how do you have, we are aware that there's hardly any town in this country where you do not have an operative of the DSS. But you have operations like this. This is not the case for it. So how are we managing? I do pray and hope.
So we've not gotten to, you feel that we're not gotten to that level of insecurity. I wonder what level could be worse than where we are already. Even though I'm not saying we're at the worst level, but the cases that we've been recording really calls for an emergency action. All right, in fact, a state of emergency at the moment. But let's look at this story about the House of Representatives on Tuesday. They began the consideration of the 1.911 trillion naira 2024 budget of the Nigeria. In at the commencement of the budget defense, Managing Director of NDDC Samuel Obuku said the commission plans to source the money for the budget by borrowing 1 trillion naira from commercial and development banks in the country. And then the commission also expects 170 billion naira as arrears owed it by the federal government and recoveries by government agencies.
Okay, please forgive me. I had to laugh a little bit. You have business leaders in this country, as the Dangotes, complaining about the interest rates that they now have to pay back to commercial banks. I do understand that in the end, for commercial banks, this is business, and this would appear lucrative to a sense. But when you hear stories of banks going moribund due to unhealthy finance management systems and the NDIC having to come, and the last question is, how healthy are commercial banks? It is hard. I understand that the banks will be a little bit willing, because obviously we would have to remember that government is a big spender and the NDDC is an agency of government. So this would look lucrative us here. And the NDDC had a roadmap for Niger Delta development of about 30 years, where they missed and go kind of scenario.